Well, it all comes down to people. If you're in an RV, you're going to have breakdowns. You're going to have failures in the equipment. My latest equipment failure was the landing gear in the front of my fifth wheel. And there's nothing more frustrating than when you're at one of the most beautiful places in the country, Lonesomehurst Campground, and you've got a breakfast appointment to meet someone, and then you want to raise up your landing gear so you can connect to your truck, and they won't raise. Well, I learned first that there is a way to manually raise the landing gear, and no, it's not fun. Then I proceeded to begin the process of finding somebody to fix it and then getting it fixed. Well, I was down near West Yellowstone, so I decided to call a dealer up in Helena. They're called D&D RV, and this in part is a story about a couple of people that came through up at D&D. So I'm going to give you a strong recommendation that if you need repair work done and you're up in the Helena area, D&D RV are good people. I'm also going to tell you that I have an extended warranty, and I'm extremely glad that I got that extended warranty. It's an American Guardian product, and if you want to learn more about it, I think I have a post on my website about this, and you can certainly reach out to me directly. And if you want to get connected with that kind of policy, I can make that happen. Um, so it came down to some decisions. Deciding to get the American Guardian warranty was a good decision because they stepped up to the plate right away. When I brought my unit in, and Robert, who is the service writer at the D&D RV in Helena, when he called them, they immediately approved everything that needed to be done. It was over $600 in repairs, and I had a $100 deductible that I had to meet. So this policy saved me a significant amount of money on my first repair. I've only had the policy for a few weeks, and I believe they're even going to pick up for a night of hotel lodging that I needed to be at. So that's a nice thing to know. It's also nice to know that they cut a check to D&D RV right away so that I don't have to worry about are they going to get paid, and so that I know that American Guardian has a good name in the RV industry. So if and when my next failure in equipment occurs, I can, with a straight face, say to a dealer or a repair guy, I've got American Guardian. So here's what you need to know, though. Whenever there is a failure in equipment in an RV, the repair sequence is never linear. It's not as simple as, well, I'll bring it in my case, on October 12th, and I'll leave after that day and have it fixed. It just doesn't seem to happen that way. So let me kind of detail for you what happened and how it happened, and where there are a couple of quirks in the system that need to get fixed. Um, I will tell you that I brought it in on September 28th to D&D after having a brief phone interview with Robert. I was impressed with his knowledge and his openness to having a stranger come in, because I'm not from Helena and never been there before and didn't know anything about the dealer. So I brought it in. He put a tech on it right away, spent about 20 minutes with me, went in, took a look at the motor, took a look at the gearbox, and decided that it needed a motor and a gearbox. Well, as it always is with RV repairs, when I brought it in on October 12th, it wasn't just those two things. There was a third thing. There was a gear in the leg itself that needed to be replaced, and this is where things got dicey. First of all, you need to know that Lippert is behind the parts for many of these RVs. So what Robert did was he got on the phone first with Crossroads, that's who made this RV, and said, what kind of landing gear does he have? And Crossroads was useless. For whatever reason, the invoice for this unit was blacked out, so that the parts that were included in this unit, nobody knows what they are. The only thing we can guess is that this unit was built right about when Crossroads got bought out by Thor. And the only thing that we, myself, Robert, and Tom, who's the service manager, could guess is that when a company buys out another company, the old company sometimes blacks out the invoices for whatever reason. So Well, that kind of left us in the dark. I say us because I was working with Robert on the phone regularly to find out what's going on. So he got on the phone with Lippert, and there is a hero at Lippert, and I'm going to tell you about her in a couple of minutes. But um, well, I'll say this: Lippert has a lot of people there that need to learn more about customer service. We do have one young lady who came through and was truly a hero. But the first people that Robert spoke to at Lippert really had no interest in the situation, pointed him to the website. The website that they have for parts doesn't give dimensions and things like that. And they didn't do their work at Lippert. So as a result, Robert ended up ordering the wrong parts for the leg, and ended up ordering them second day air. And whoever took that order, and he paid for second day air, I watched him do it. Whoever took that order didn't bother to even ship it second day air. They shipped it ground. It showed up a week later. So there went October 12th through October 19th. Well, on October 19th, Robert was very tenacious. He took out more than my fair share of time for him to try and address this, and finally got through to somebody at Lippert who cared. And I want to give kudos to her. I want to give kudos to her big time. Pardon me for pausing that, but I had to get her name. Wanted to make sure I got it right. Her name is Angie. And Angie, on the 19th of October, got into the situation, advised Robert, or asked Robert, to send in photographs, including of the leg, and she brought it directly to one of the Lippert techs. And between the two of them, they realized that it wasn't even one of the regular Lippert legs that was installed on my Crossroads. It was some other brand that Lippert ended up buying out, and that happens all the time in the RV industry. And they all look alike. The legs all look alike. So I can't look at Robert and Tom at D&D RV and say, well, you should have known. I had to be reasonable in this situation, and they understood what was going on too. So Angie stepped up to the plate and overnighted a leg that happened to be in stock over to D&D RV. And it was, I think it arrived midday the next day, and then the following day, Tom got me squeezed into the schedule and got the work done. Everything now works pretty well. It's definitely functional, and it's going to be functional for probably a few years yet before it needs maybe another round of repair. But at least we know what it is, and at least we know what the part is, and it's all documented. You know what it comes down to is Robert and Tom over at D&D RV and Angie over at Lippert really made this happen. Otherwise, right now I'm in Missoula and I'm heading up to Flathead Lake. It's getting late in the season. This is like October 24th. I'm going to be spending the winter in Idaho, ski instructing again, skiing almost every day. I love it. But I want to keep traveling while the weather is still half decent. And while the mornings are getting into the 20s, the afternoons are still in the 50s. So it's still warm enough to go kayaking. And I'm going to try out my new solar panels again. There's a whole story behind that in Renogy, and I'll get to that with you at some point. But really what you need to know is this incident started in late September, and it took the better part of a month to get fixed. And you can see how step by step by step, Robert and Tom diagnosed the situation. Actually, their tech did way back on September 28th. The parts got ordered. The wrong parts arrived. So they couldn't do anything with them on October 12th. Then more parts were ordered, and Lippert shipped them ground when they should have shipped air. And that cost another week. And finally, Angie stepped in, who was the hero at Lippert that helped the situation to get resolved, identified what it was exactly that needed to be ordered, shipped it overnight. The parts got there. Tom was kind enough to squeeze me into the schedule because, you know, an RV dealer, they don't have a lot of techs. They do not have a lot of technicians. He has generally on any given day 2 or 3. So there's a limited number of hours in a day that he can book work on. And so for me to try and squeeze in there, I knew that I was kind of like squeezing in. But I want to thank them. I want to thank them for doing what they did. Again, want to give heads up to anybody traveling through southwestern Montana that Helena D&D RV are good people. I want to tell you that American Guardian is a superior extended warranty program. And again, I'll be glad to connect you with the right people if you want to get a quote and get yourself an American Guardian extended service contract. And I want to say that Angie is a true gem and golden at Lippert, and I hope Lippert appreciates her, and I hope Lippert tries to duplicate her because that needs to happen. I have lots of other posts coming up. I'm going to be sharing with you all the camping opportunities in the Helena region. It turns out I picked a great place to quote unquote get stuck for a few weeks because the local camping there is astounding. There are lakes on top of lakes on top of lakes. There are Bureau of Land Management campgrounds. There are National Forest Service campgrounds. There are private campgrounds. And I'm going to put a post together that kind of maps it out for you and shows you what's where and what opportunities there are, and also a little bit of the stuff to do in the area, because that's pretty cool too. I also ran into a very interesting individual who actually reached out to me on my website, rvacrossamerica.net. Presumably that's where you're finding this. If not, click the link and it'll bring you over to my site. But at rvacrossamerica.net, he reached out to me on one of my posts and said, hey, I'm a new campground owner and I've got cabins and all that. I went and visited him. I took some days out while I was dealing with all this stuff and went and visited him. I drove in a truck while my RV was in for service. There were 3 days where it was just downed. I was not going to live in it, and I was not going to be able to travel with it. So I took those days out and went out to see him, and I'll have a report for you on that because he's got a great area. He's got an RV park. He's got cabins. It's called Boulder Creek Lodge, and I will be detailing that for you in a future post, also probably in the very near future. As the days get shorter, I have more time to get things done, and I'm spending a bit more time inside. Anyway, this is Alan. Thank you, and you have a great day.